This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of Navigating the Now. I'm Suze Casey, the developer of the Belief Repatterning program and technique. And I have with me longtime practitioner and facilitator, Brenda Holden. Really excited to have you here with us, Brenda. Thank you so much for joining us. And why don't you share with folks a little bit about how did you stumble across belief repatterning?
How did I stumble across belief repatterning? Well, Susan and I have a common friend, and one day the phone rang, and I this friend came on, and she said, you've got to meet this woman. There's just a really good match. And at the time, I was running a store called All Things Beautiful in Invermere, BC, and I was at work. And when I put the phone down, I had that tingly feeling that says, Brenda, pay attention, do something about this now. I said, okay. So I hung up the phone and I looked at the number and I got my deep breath on and, okay, what am I going to say when I get the answering machine? And I dialed and I got this is Suze. And if I remember right, I went, this isn't an answering machine. And you said, no? And I said, oh, I said, you must be Suze. I said, you're Suze, and my name's Brenda Holden, and our friend Carol said I should call you. And I think within 15 minutes, I had you coming out to lovely Invermere, BC to do a workshop related to this work. And that was in the fall of 1999.
Doesn't sound that long ago, but I guess it is so last century.
Yeah, you can say that something was last century, and since that time it worked. And in 2003, I think it was, when you started teaching, I hosted a class out here in the Kootenays and started doing work with you and made the commitment to become a practitioner, and shortly after that became a practitioner. So I've been working with you and around this work for over 20 years, and it's just made such an incredible, the best thing I can say is it levels my life. It lets me navigate in a way that when something sort of comes out of left field, that I can take a deep breath and say, okay, how am I going to respond? And that doesn't mean sometimes I don't be totally human and totally respond with whatever. When I've done that, I get to say, oh, hey, time out. Give me a minute. I get to take a breath and say, all right, can I start that over, please? And just the freedom that that brings to your life when you could ask something like that is, yeah, I can remember when the closest, for the 5 years before I met you and started doing this work, I got to the point where sometimes I could ask that, and when I did it, I'd have to kind of stand up and turn around, and then that would break that energy, whatever it was, and I could move forward. Now it's simpler. Now my inner critic or critical show up, and my coach or my reaction will show up, and the coach in my subconscious brain just says, hey, wait a minute, that's not you. Where are you?
Nice. And when we met, you were already a Reiki master teacher. You'd studied all kinds of energy work. I mean, your store, All Things Beautiful, which is now closed because you're doing energy work and repatterning as your full-time occupation. But I mean, it was all about the crystals and the, exploring possibilities and intuitive things and like all of that stuff. And so you had a really strong basis in it. And what I always say about repatterning is it's not the either or. And also we'll take everything that you have and supersize it and strengthen it. And I suspected that from the beginning. And when I met you early on, that really cemented that for me. So I really appreciate that. So maybe what you know, we're I think we can now say officially we're coming to a turning point, at least if not an end point of the COVID time. And so, I'm encouraging people to really focus on what are the gifts or the main learnings from this year of out of our what was our normal. So for you, Brenda, what would you say that is?
I think it is the gift of appreciation and really finding the things that are on a daily basis are important to me to have me in a place where I can let all this vitality and energy that I've got express itself. And it's been like fine tuning a radio dial. And it's a bunch of little things just stacking up. It's like one dog walk I thought used to do it. Well, now I know it's at least two. If I miss a day of my vitamin pills, if I miss a day, I'm really excited right now because one of the things that's happened during COVID is I was out walking the dog and brought the dog home, filled the wood bin for the fire, came back in the house and had broken pipes. And I hadn't so now I've got an opportunity because I've got all this floor covering up. I get to write words all over my floor and use these words that have really tied into me knowing who I am. And I don't know if people can see it, but I mean, I even went out finally and got my emotional charge card laminated so that it's easy to clean. It doesn't mean I can't update it if I want, but my words are on the back of it. You're not going to be able to see that at the camera, I don't think. But those are the words that are going to start on my bathroom floor once I get it painted with the mildew resistance, don't stop it so into the wood, right? And so besides those foundational things and this building of a new foundation that I've got happening, it's noticing that some days I need more water. One day I went through 4 liters of water and there was no reason, right, that I could identify. And I think that's the other thing that I've really become cognizant of through this is that sometimes you don't need to know the reason. And
sometimes, but often that's what gets in the way, isn't it? Yeah.
If I didn't know what I know about the structure of belief repatterning and about when I'm working at this heart level, soul level, all me together level, sometimes my brain's got to take a vacation or become the observer and I can just ask it to do that. And it goes, oh, okay, we're doing that again, are we? All right, I can do that.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is that during COVID, it was a time for you to kind of dial in and really fine tune rather than just like slapping the radio on and listening to the static, which was kind of maybe how you were listening in your life. Now and then you said it was interesting. You said about building the foundation, and oh well, we had the pipes burst and some flow happen to kind of clear out some of the other stuff. And now, like literally, your foundation, you've got that new floor, that new, more solid place to stand on, that's really cool. So, what I'm going to ask is there one? And I also wanted to just mention your emotional charge card because for people who are listening to this, they may not be aware about what that is, and so that's one of the exercises that we do, one of the activities that we do in our signature Flip Your Switch, and and so you've that just so that people kind of go, okay, I got that. And I mentioned that you are a practitioner, so you do one-on-one sessions with people. You're also one of our facilitators in the program, helping train up other people to become practitioners. and build their own businesses as well. I'm going to ask you now, though, to just give one, and I know it's hard because there's like a million at once, but one tip that you would say, try this on. For the folks that are listening, just try this on, try it on for however long, and then notice. So what would be one try this on that you would think your favorite one that would really support people at this time as we're going through this big transition again?
My favorite try it on right now that's become part of that foundational practice that I am now doing 5 out of 7 days a week, is when I go into the bathroom in the morning, I exercise my hug muscle. And I put arms around myself and I look myself in the eye and I say, hey, good to see you today. And I think that that's really, oh, here come the tears. In this time where we're so low touch, and I think those of you who know me who are out there, I'm a high touch person. I'm all about tactile. And so the lack of physical contact with people has been a real challenge for me. And I really, when I embrace this and I really reach out and I pull it all in and give myself that hug, it's like, oh, and in the back, my coach just kicked in and said, yeah, and didn't you read someplace that you need 7 hugs a day? You might want to up how many times a day you hug yourself, Brenda. And that's the joy of this work. I wouldn't have had a coach in my head. And before I started working with this, I think some people know that I was struggling with a thing called depression. And I had no emotional language, which was probably the source of it. In doing this work, I now have an emotional language.
Mm-hmm. And the simplicity of that, I love how you say when you embrace this, like, pun intended, and loving that you start your day with that, because you know that how you start your day is going to affect the rest of the day. And now your inner coach is feeling strong enough to go, maybe 7 hugs. So maybe it's like every time you walk into the bathroom, because most people go to the bathroom at least 3 or 4 times, and then you brush your teeth in the morning, at night. You probably are going to get 6 or 7 visits. So that's super cool. What I'd like to do is just open up to anyone who's listening. If you have a question, you can either pop your mic on or type it into the chat room, whichever you prefer. There's a question for Brenda. Anything about a question? Anything goes pretty much. So we'll just give people an opportunity if there is. And if not, we'll just keep, we're going to keep chatting while there's questions being formulated. So, Brenda, what would you say is your vision or hope as we come out of this high time of reflection and fine tuning for those of us who have chosen it? But what would be your vision and hope? I don't know if it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, whatever, but what are you seeing? Because one thing I know about you is that you are an incredible visionary, and you can really see the trajectory of things. So I'd really love for you to share a bit about that.
For the people who have used this time to really get in touch with themselves and what's important to themselves, and to recognize that we found some gifts and we found some focus, and it would be really easy to quote unquote go back to whatever the new normal, because it's going to be different than it is, and let all that stuff float away. And all of us in some way have found through this process more about who we are, and some gifts we have and some things that are important to us. And what I would envision is a world where people are no longer willing, now that we know what's important to us and now that we know what makes us shine, as we walk forward, let's use those gifts and stop sacrificing ourselves for them. that's really what I would hope comes from this, because we've all got gifts, we've all got things that we appreciate, and as we're stepping forward, if we can listen to our intuition and the little voice in our head and use that, I think we've all got heightened senses as a result of COVID. And if we can pay attention to that and continue to use that in a way that works for us instead of a way that creates or stress or whatever, that when we move forward, we can all be happier, and those around us will be happier because we're happier.
Nice. It's when you're saying this, it was like two things popped into my mind. One is a friend of mine said to the other day, if we're listening, the universe is always teaching. If we're listening, and I think that what's happened is that more people are creating time in their lives to listen to themselves, to what's happening. Here's the other thing that popped into my mind. It was my little kind of goofy monkey, because that always shows up when I'm around you, because you've got such a delightful sense of humor. You're very serious about your work, but you're very playful with it. What came to my mind is so like when you said that you used to experience depression, and it's kind of like, as a society, we had like more people on depressants, more people anxious, and it was almost as if the universe went, you want anxiety? I'll show you anxiety. Boom, pandemic. Now that's something to have some anxiety about. And so, so now that we've kind of experienced that, and like, how are we gonna, are we gonna be able to get our food? Are like all of those things that happened early on as we were meeting our needs and kind of adjusting to that. Now it's almost. I remember after I moved through the first cancer diagnosis, and I said the greatest thing about having cancer is I no longer get upset with a broken shoelace. It puts it all into perspective. And I think that's what you're saying, is that, now people have had some of that kind of, and I get everybody's experience in COVID has been very different, that if you're a frontline worker, you haven't had that yet. But I'm thinking that, people are just healthier now because they've been noticing and taking care of and attending to and doing the fine tuning that you're talking about. I haven't seen a question come up in the chat box. I haven't seen anybody's mic come on yet. So I'm going to ask you, Brenda, and if anybody wants to, go ahead, but I'm going to ask you, Brenda, is there something that you really want to invite people to step into working with you, any kind of thing that you're really looking forward to, the kind of issues or focuses, whatever, go, it's your turn, just whatever you want.
So, what I love doing this work, and I like working with the people who are learning to do this just for themselves through our Way of Being program, or the people who are wanting to integrate it with something else they do, be it a massage therapist or a trainer or whatever, as a positive self-talk coach, or those who want to become practitioners. But what really juices me in my life is seeing people have their ahas. So individuals who are willing to move forward fairly fast, and I can be pretty hold your feet to the fire, let's go. I'm not maybe the best person if you want to take things really slowly, because they'll get to a point where I'll see that you're deflecting and I'll call you on it. And so people who are willing to really leverage the advantages that have come through COVID, there's somebody who, and they're willing to do it by deciding they're going to bring themselves into alignment with who they are and how they work and how they live in their personal relationships.
And you've got a big flashlight for, like, I would say a searchlight on that one. Like that's something that roads that you've traveled successfully and helped lots and lots of people travel successfully. Yeah.
When people used to ask me what my favorite book was when I had the store, and I said, well, if the building was burning down and I could take three things. I would take the dogs because they were in the store with me. I would take my handbag because it's right there. And I would grab my copy of Dan Millman's Laws of Spirit, which is kind of the laws of she's got a copy there. Awesome. And because I could go outside and I could look at what was happening and I could repattern anything that my subconscious critic, what if, was throwing forward at me. And I could open that book of basically living your life by universal law, and I would find something that would carry me through that crisis. And so one of the things that I really enjoy doing in one of the previous lives, this lifetime, I did a lot of working with entrepreneurs and small business and family businesses, helping them to reshift how they presented their businesses. And now I can bring to it, how can you do business in a way that's in accordance with this universal law? And there's an alignment with who you are so that you're not sacrificing yourself to your business, but your business is serving you. Nice. So those are the types of people who conditions that really get me in a place where I get really excited and can brings a lot of experience to it, an entrepreneurial background to it, but also the huge mix of things that's in my toolbox, the base of which is my belief repatterning, because I can anyone can repattern anything, and relatively quickly if you choose to.
Yeah. And you and I could talk for forever, but I know that there's some people who are now they've heard what you're excited about, and they're saying, I'm excited to get a hold of Brenda. And so I'm going to give the way that you get a hold of Brenda. It's Brenda, BRENDA Holden, like hold, HOLDEN at beliefrepatterning.com. So that's BE as in belief, BELIEF, the word pattern, PATTERNING.com. That's how you get a hold of Brenda, or through the usual, Facebook, Instagram, those kinds of things out there as well, on our website, on our team page. Brenda, in closing, anything that you would like to just add to make sure that you really let people know who you are and what you bring to our amazing community? Because you really, I'm just an aside, I want to give you a shout out, because when I was retooling our business from my, one-on-one practice and a small group kind of organization, and then took it to a large group, a bigger span, you were super helpful there with me doing that. So I could totally speak to your ability in terms of that, and combining that with the repatterning was awesome. Anything else that you want to add to let people know about what they can expect when they connect with you, or anything that you want to add? Is it go?
The only thing I'm going to add is that if I'm not the practitioner for you, our beliefs in our co-creative community are, when you look at that team page, find the practitioner that seems to align with you, and make that introductory call. Everyone will have a quick chat with you. Some people give free demonstrations, but make that call, send that email. I wish I had something here I could write and hold up my phone number. I'm at 250-341-5291, and I'm of the age.
Oh, hang on. That's 250-341-5291. Good job. Thank you for doing it a bit slower for those of us who hadn't grabbed a pen yet.
Yeah, I'll do it again too in a second, because I'm of an age, and we haven't mentioned that, but if you want to do something fun, look at the picture on Sue's book and the picture of Sue's now. And one of the things that we found is that belief repatterning is a little bit age defying. I certainly noticed that as well. So I'm at 250-341-5291. I am a verbal person and love to use the phone. So Susan's writing that because she's got the materials right there. I can see her.
Yes, and I didn't think I did because I'm out of my usual space today, but then I went, oh, I can do this.
There you go. Thank you so
High
much.
technology.
And guys, remember to hold yourself, embrace yourself, give yourself that hug. Try that on every morning. And if you notice a difference, then we've built something that is a trust place between us.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Enjoy the beauty of this day. Thank you for being such an incredible pillar in our community and for all the work and support that you're giving to people as they navigate what's now. Take good care.
Okay, thank you.